to shout. So first of all, can I thank you all for coming to the cow shed. I appreciate that many of you have come from far and wide. Brenda and I, John and Sandra, really appreciate the effort you've made being here today. But I think a special mention has to go to Lawrence and Dana, who took a 12-hour flight from San Francisco over to London. They then took a 5-hour train journey from London to Glasgow, a 2.5-hour car journey from Glasgow up to Fife. Now that was quite a journey, but they brought young Lewis, who's only a year and a half. So, thank you very much. Appreciate the effort. Before I say a few words about Laura and Sean, I think a special mention has to go to John, to Callum, to Chris, to Abe, Adrian and Daniel. I don't think I've ever seen so many Englishmen wearing kilts. So I really do think the special effort they've made to be here. You'll notice I didn't mention Sean. Sean has now been living in Scotland, so we've now adopted him as a Scotsman, so that's why he's not included. We're still working on his accent, but hopefully in a year or two we'll have him speaking in a broad Glasgow accent. As you know, Laura is a school teacher. There are actually many school teachers in this room today, so I believe anybody caught misbehaving will be getting sent to the naughty corner, so you have been warned. Now, when I've spoken to Laura in the past and talked about her teaching, she's told me that when you deal with a disruptive pupil, you really have to make sure that you get the last word in Edgeway, and if you can finish with a put-down comment, all to the good. But this is something that can take years of practice. Well, Laura seemed to master this art very early on. Matter of fact, she was only about 5 years of age, and her Uncle Roy had come to visit. And when he was leaving, being a bit of a comedian, he said to Laura, "See you later, alligator. See you in a while, crocodile." Laura looked at him for a few seconds and said, "See you later, pig face." Uncle Roy might not be an oil painting, but pig face was a bit below the belt. When Laura was about 7, we went camping. Now, camping in Scotland can be a challenge at the best of times. Camping in October is downright stupid. But camping we went. Now, we managed to get hold of a 4-man tent. For people who have never been camping before, 4-man tents are not particularly big. We had the 4 blow-up lilas, the 4 sleeping bags. To make sure we weren't cold, we brought 4 double duvets and 8 pillows. So apart from the electric blanket and the hot water bottle, and it wasn't for the want of trying, we'd brought everything we could. So basically we could not move in this tent. Anyway, the first night we're in our sleeping bags, and 15 minutes have gone, and Laura suddenly says, "Are you awake, Dad?" So I did what any responsible parent did, I pretended I was sleeping. 5 minutes later, "Are you awake, Dad?" "No, I'm not awake, I'm sleeping. What do you want?" "I think I need the toilet." "No, you're just going to have to hold it until the morning." "I can't hold it until the morning, I've got to go now." Now by this time, the tent is getting buffeted about, the wind is lashing down, the rain, and you suddenly think, who possessed me to go camping? Anyway, we go up, we manage to get to the toilet, we come back, all is good. The next morning, I've got to go to reception, and Laura decides she's coming with me. We're walking down the path, and Laura immediately yells out, "Look, Dad, there's your pants!" Now it turns out that in the haste to go to the toilet in the middle of the night, in the pitch dark, I pulled on my trousers and top of my pyjamas. My pants have been caught in my trousers already, and I've left them in the middle of the path. Now, finding your underwear in the middle of the path can be quite embarrassing. So I immediately said to Laura, no, they're not mine. But Laura's not going to be shaken off by this, and says, no, Dad, they're yours, they're definitely your pants. I'm pulling Laura down the street by this time. People are beginning to stop and look at me. They're looking at Laura getting dragged away. Laura shouts to Susan, we found Dad's pants. I mean, total humiliation. Now, by the way, I can see a few of you looking at me. I'd actually brought 2 pairs of pants, so I was okay. I was still wearing pants, so I could see a few quizzical looks in the face. Anyway, I decided to leave Laura. I go on to reception. Sunday morning, there's a bit of a queue. And I'm in the queue for about 5 minutes, and next minute the door burst open. In comes Laura with this 4-foot branch with my pants at the end of it, saying, these are definitely your pants, Dad. So needless to say, we never went camping again. But basically, I think maybe Laura was about 11 at this time, and we'd actually just moved house. And I think you know that Susan and Laura are very, very close, and they will always make sure each other is okay. When we moved to this new house, Laura wasn't happy. And to try and win her over, we said to her, you can pick any bedroom you want. Laura immediately thought, right, she was on to win her here, and picked the biggest bedroom in the house at the top of the stairs. Brendan and I were delighted, we'd won her over, only for Susan to suddenly say, you do realise, Laura, if somebody breaks into the house and comes up the stairs, you'll be the first family member to get murdered. Laura thought of this for all of about 1 second and decided she wasn't having the biggest bedroom in the house. She decided she would take the smallest bedroom in the house, which was the furthest away from the stairs. I think you heard earlier that Sean, Laura, didn't have an easy time when they met at the beginning, with Laura being in Glasgow, Sean being in London, not London, Edinburgh. He then obviously did move through to London. At that stage, every second Friday, I had to pick Laura up about 3:01. We drove like maniac to Glasgow Airport for her to get the 4:30 flight down to London. Then Sunday evening, Brenda had to go back to Glasgow Airport to pick her up. So when Sean eventually decided he was moving back to Scotland, Laura was really happy. Brenda and I were absolutely delighted. But the thing that stuck in my mind was when Sean was in Edinburgh. What actually happened with Sean being in Edinburgh, I'd only met him once or twice before, and both of these occasions were very brief. But Sean had decided he was inviting Laura through, and he was going to make her a romantic dinner. The next day I got a phone call basically saying that Laura had been up all night, been violently sick. She was feeling so ill she couldn't get the train home, and could I go through to Edinburgh to pick her up. So I went through to Edinburgh to get her, and I said to her, what's happened, Laura? And she immediately said, it was the food. Sean's given me food poisoning. But this time Sean is obviously at my side saying, it can't possibly be food poisoning, I've eaten the same thing. It's not food poisoning. Laura by this time is lying in the back seat of my car, still being sick, shouting, it's the food, he's poisoned me, Dad, he's poisoned me. At this stage I wasn't too sure who I felt more sorry for, Laura being violently sick, or Sean, who was frantically trying to persuade me he hadn't poisoned my daughter. Can I actually just say that since that day, Sean has cooked Brenda and I numerous meals, and I'm delighted to say he's not poisoned us once. Now, while we're talking about food, I can see you all kind of looking at your empty plates thinking, I wish this big guy would hurry up and sit down, because the sooner he sits down, we're going to get fed. So I'm just going to call it short now, but just ask everybody to be upstanding to give a toast to the bride. So, the bride and groom. Yes.